Hi everybody, this is Tauna from Proverbial Homemaker, and today I'm going to share our curriculum picks for the 2020-21 homeschool season. We are really excited about what we have in store coming up for the new year, especially me, the homeschooling mom. It's fun to talk about homeschool curriculum and to research it and to get all the boxes in the mail and everything. So I'm excited to share with you guys what we have in store for this year. And just to give you a little bit of a context on how our homeschool runs and why I have so many things to share with you. I have 6 kids. My youngest is 3.5, and my oldest is going to be 13 soon. And so my youngest is preschool, and my oldest is going into 7th grade. So the grades I have that I'm teaching this year are preschool, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 5th grade, and 7th grade. And I feel like I missed somebody, but I think that's it. And so that's a lot of kids. And we also do an eclectic homeschool style, which means basically we pull from lots of different curricula and lots of different methods to fit our style and our needs and our interests and to fit each individual child based on, what I've seen and observed that they want. My older kids have been getting more and more flexibility in choosing their own curriculum and their own course of study. They get more and more of that kind of freedom every year as they get older and more mature and show that they can make wise choices. So some of the picks this year are their choices and not mine necessarily. And one of them in particular, I had to kind of be like, okay, well, what we were doing was working, but I want to be able to let my kids have some input into their own education and what works for them and what they want to do. So those are the things I'm going to share with you today. The way our homeschool runs, basically, is that we have a year-round homeschool schedule, which doesn't mean that we never take breaks. We take breaks when we want to. We just school year-round and, take breaks on off times whenever we feel like it and work around vacations. And, when we need to take a break and work on character things, we do that. So we do year-round schooling. We do a 4-day academic week. And then on the 5th day, we focus that day on tidying up the house, doing projects, doing extra chores for commissions, and focusing on life skills and character type things. So that's been really working well for us for several years now. So that's what we're still doing. And the other thing that is important to know about why we have so many materials is that we do a lot of literature-based curriculum in our homeschool. Because I homeschool such a wide variety of ages, I like to choose curricula that is open and go for the most part, and that my kids either can do independently with me guiding them along the way, or that we can do all together as a family. And so we do a lot of things as a group, a lot of read alouds, a lot of hands-on projects together. That's what we do together. And then they do a lot of their own reading, and they do some independent work like math and things like that. And the other piece that we incorporate is loop scheduling. There's always the core subjects that we make sure that we get done: Bible and math and writing and reading. But we like to be able to incorporate a lot more than just the core subjects. And what I found early on was that was really difficult to do with lots of kids and lots of things we wanted to accomplish. So we started incorporating loop scheduling several years ago, and we still do that today. So we have loop schedules that we do as a group, and my older kids have loop schedules of their own in addition to their daily schedules. And that allows us to be able to incorporate lots of topics and curricula into their routines. They're not doing those things every day. They might do them once or twice a week or once every 2 weeks. It just depends on the topic and our goals. So I'll try to mention which ones fall into the loop schedule. I have a post that it kind of gives you a rundown of all of that information and categorizes these pieces that I'm going to show you into those different types of work that we do. So that might make it a little bit easier to see why we do things that way. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, the first curriculum I'm going to talk about, is in the morning. When we have breakfast, we just call it morning time. And when people talk about morning time in the homeschool community, usually they mean something where, you have your morning time basket and you're all sitting around and you're going through the morning basket and doing a little bit of each resource. It's sort of like that, except we spread it out throughout the whole day. But in the morning, what we call our morning time is, during breakfast, we sit down and we do Bible and theology And we listen to our lesson countdown playlist while we're doing chores, and often that piece will have hymn music. So what we do in the morning for our morning time while we're eating breakfast is we do Bible road trip. This is the Bible curriculum we've used the whole time, and we love it. It is a 3-year survey of the Bible that is, you can use it for multi-level teaching, so it goes preschool all the way through high school. We love it. And so we're still in year 3. We kind of just go at our own pace. And my older 2 kids also do the notebooking journals. So we'll read the Bible together with Bible Road Trip. We'll have our discussions. We'll read from different resources like a prayer book, praying for the different nations and things like that. And there's a whole bunch to Bible Road Trip. I'll leave you guys a link to it and to my review of it. But then my older kids will go off after our chore time and after our group time. When they start the independent work, the first thing they do is their Bible Road Trip notebooking journal. And that correlates to what we studied in our Bible together. So we do that. We also do sound words for kids. We do this once a week. This is the curriculum I wrote. It's a theology curriculum for kids. And so basically we recite the different catechism questions and answers that we had learned so far. We do a little bit of study and go through the devotion and the question and answer in-depth material for the one that we're on at the time. And there's coloring page and some activity pages and notebooking pages and things like that. So we do that together. And that is basically it for our morning time material for instruction. And then when we're done with that, it doesn't take very long. When we're done with that, we then do memory work. So we go through our memorization of any poems that we're doing or scripture that we're doing or any memory work that we're doing. And then I have a binder, and I think I have a video on that. If not, I have to do one, but I'll try to leave you guys a link to how we do that. And if not, if I don't have it, I'll have to make one soon because it's really effective and we've done that for a long time. We have a big binder where we open it and it has the prayers and blessings for today that we pray through and the scripture of the day that we pray through. I have a set of scriptures that I rotate through every week. Just recite it out loud and pray through it together. And then we have a main passage that we are memorizing at the time. So we'll work on that for a little bit. And then we'll go to the tabs for the day and then the week and then the month that review past things that we've memorized so that we can make sure that we keep them in our minds and keep them fresh. So when that's over, usually by the time I'm done with that, the kids have finished eating, and sometimes I'll have coloring pages and everything that they can, depending on the material we're covering, we'll have coloring pages that they can color until we're all done. And then we break and we do our morning chores. And right then is when I set off the lesson countdown playlist, which is a music playlist that I put together, and sometimes I switch it out. I'll leave you guys a link to our current one. I have a YouTube playlist that I put together for people who are curious about that. So anyway, we listen to the lesson countdown playlist and we blast it so everybody can hear it throughout the whole house. And they all go do their morning chores and responsibilities. And then by the time the playlist is over, they're to be at the table for our group work, that's all we call it. We call it our group work. So for group work, what we do is we rotate through, we have a loop schedule, and we rotate through a set of materials that we use. A lot of them are Charlotte Mason style materials, but not all of them. So I'm going to show you what we're doing with that. So one of the things that we started incorporating for the first time this year in our group time is a Charlotte Mason resource called the Homeschool Garden, and it's quickly become one of my favorites. If you are interested in doing morning time or Charlotte Mason style homeschooling and you're not really sure what to start with, that is an excellent resource to start with. But even if you have been doing it for a while like I have, and you just want something that's easy that you can pull out that's already put together, it is a fantastic resource. So we've really been enjoying it. They're bundled up in sessions. You can buy the sessions individually. They're 4 to 6 weeks long, and they have a schedule and different activities and everything. And the activities include things like nature study and tea times and poetry and music and art and all sorts of things. And the sessions, if you want all of them, access to all of them, you can get the membership, which is what I ended up getting, and that has all of them, and you can access all the past sessions and any future one she has coming out. And they're really fun. We just finished up our first one, which was a wildflower one. And so during group time, if that was next on the list, if the homeschool garden was next on our list for our loop schedule, we would sit down and work on that a little bit. Our tea times we would do later, though there were 2 a month. We do those later in the afternoon, but for the most part, we could just pull it up quickly on the computer, do our Charlotte Mason, homeschool garden activities together, and it was a lot of fun. So I'll leave you guys a link for that. I'll leave you a link for all of these. But that one is definitely worth checking out if you're interested in an easy way to incorporate some really well done, beautiful Charlotte Mason style homeschooling into your weeks. Okay, so that's the main one. That's one of the main ones that we added. The other thing that we added is called AwesomeSciTV, and that's not Charlotte Mason. It's just a fun video repository, basically, that it's a streaming video repository that is Christian and creation-based, and it has all sorts of videos, and they're adding things to it all the time, and we'll just pull one up that is interesting to us and watch it and have discussions, and it'll lead us on rabbit trails. My kids particularly love the ones where Joel from Glenn's Gizmos comes on and does experiments and talks about how they connect to God's Word and how science connects to God's Word, and we just really enjoy those. So those are fun. We're going to keep using those. We also use music in our homeschool. That is a resource that has been a favorite for a while. I use it all the time. She has all sorts of courses that you can do. She has a whole Charlotte Mason course for a full year that you can do. She has early education type ones for preschoolers, music that preschoolers should know. She has things all the way up to high school. One of the ones that we're enjoying a lot right now is it's a music course for world history, or for geography, music course for world geography, but we're using it in history because our history corresponds to our geography. And so when we get to a certain country or a certain people group, we'll pull up music in our homeschool and we'll listen to the musical pieces that she's pulled together for us and little tidbits of information, and she has some downloadable printables. So we use music in our homeschool all the time. So when that comes up on the loop schedule for our group work, I just pull up something that connects with something we're learning or just something that looks interesting, and we dig into a lesson, and it takes about 15 minutes, and it's fantastic. One other piece that we do, even though we use the homeschool garden, before that we were using Charlotte Mason, simply Charlotte Mason picture study. There's these portfolios she has. We went through Van Gogh last year. You can actually see the potato eaters right there from Van Gogh. But this one is Mary Cassatt. We're going to go through, it comes with a little booklet to teach you how to teach picture study in a Charlotte Mason style, and we put these up so our kids can see them all throughout the year. And it's a really simple but effective way to teach artist study and picture study. And then my daughter, for Christmas, I think it was for Christmas or for her birthday maybe, from her grandparents, got this light tablet that she puts one of these on, and she puts a piece of paper over it, and you hook it into your computer or into your USB port, and it lights up. And so she traces the artwork from these portfolios, and it's just another way that she learns it. So anyway, we'll do that, and that doesn't take long. It takes about 15 minutes, maybe 10-15 minutes for all of our kids to do the picture study together and to learn a little bit about the artist. And then we do poetry also through Simply Charlotte Mason, and it's similar. This year we're gonna learn about Carl Sandburg, and we'll open it up to wherever we are, and we'll read the poem together once or twice. She has a guide at the beginning that teaches you how to teach poetry study in a Charlotte Mason way. It's really simple. It's just a beautiful way to add poetry and art study to your homeschool. So we're going to continue with that. We enjoyed it so much last year. We're going to keep doing it. Then the other piece we're still doing morning time, we have a kit that includes 3 of these units from Northwest Treasures. This is the last unit we're on. The first one is volcanoes, and there was geology. This one is fossils and dinosaurs for little eyes. We're still working through this, and ours came with a kit with actual fossils in it and all sorts of things. So we're still working through this. This is really fun hands-on science that you can do with multi-level teaching. This takes a little bit longer. It takes between 15 minutes and 40 minutes depending on the lesson, but we just chunk it up to whatever we can handle that day. And so we move at our own pace, and that is really great if you have hands-on learners, especially if they love dinosaurs and fossils. And this one is supposed to be for younger kids, but even my older kids enjoy this a lot. Another resource on our group time loop schedule is No Sweat Nature Studies live membership with Our Journey Westward. Cindy West does those. And in that membership, you get access to 2 live nature study sessions that she does with the kids, where she walks through different, nature studies and observations and everything. And your kids have little notebooks and they might draw or paint or whatever with the lesson. Those are live and interactive, but of course she has the recordings available, and you have access to all the past recordings, and you have free access to all of her No Sweat Nature Study download materials. She has different nature studies that you can download and do on your own. So during our morning time, if that comes up on our loop schedule, we'll do that together. Sometimes we'll coordinate it live, but most often we just do a recording. Or we'll head out into the backyard, or we'll go on a nature walk or a planned activity that's an outing, and we'll take our nature journals with us, and we'll paint and draw and discuss. And then I always like to follow those up with readings later on from our Charlotte Mason readings. I'll leave you guys some links for these. We do the Handbook of Nature Studies. So if we're studying, if we see one year we saw squirrels at the library, and so the kids wanted to learn all about squirrels, and so we observed and we talked about what the squirrels were doing, and we read from our books about squirrels and did some studying and journaling, and it was a lot of fun. So No Sweat Nature Study Live is a really good way to incorporate the habit of nature study into your weekly and monthly routines in a very simple way. So we really enjoy adding that. Okay, so that's what we do for our group time. So we kind of rotate through those materials. I have a list that I have on my phone, and sometimes I'll post it on my wall just for a quick reference, and I can look and say, okay, where are we today? What are we going to do? We'll do that piece for our group study, and then we'll move on. So after our group study, we all break again, and I do one-on-one work with my youngest kids, and which doesn't take very long. They're young. The most they'll do is an hour of sit-down time, of sit-down work, and that's the long end of things. And while I'm doing that, my older kids go off and start their independent work. And our goal is to work through their loop schedules, which you can see over here. I have student work and habit trackers for my oldest 2 kids, and then just a basic loop schedule on the wall for my upcoming 3rd grader. It's just a way to visually track through all of the habits and the daily stuff and the loop schedule stuff, so that by the time we get to 3 o'clock, the goal is they're all done with all their work. And sometimes we have some straggling activities where they need to work through something with me, or there's a dictation piece we need to do together. But the goal is to finish by 3 o'clock. Okay, so at lunchtime, we do another group time together. And that is when we have been doing history this past year. Every year we kind of switch things out, but this worked really well. So last year we used Tapestry of Grace, and I'll link to you guys I did a very long review of that curriculum, very in-depth. And what we really enjoyed about it is that we could all learn history together. Again, it's a multi-level teaching curriculum where we can teach history, geography, and literature, and several other things if you want to, all at the same time with all of our kids for all levels. And it's very thorough. And we really enjoyed it. We had a great time with it. I really loved the living books aspect of it. The only challenge I had is I am not a planner type. If you guys have watched any of my videos or seen my blog, I tend to not plan. I just like curriculum that's pretty much open and go. I don't mind picking books ahead of time. That's the fun part. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time planning and doing detailed lesson plans. I just want to open and go and then record what we actually did and just enjoy my time with my kids. So that was challenging this last year, even though we did it and it was successful and it was a rich learning experience for all of us. I had heard about Biblioplan, which is a similar program, which is, it's a 4-year history cycle. It's Christian. It goes through all of history in 4 bits, or 4 units, plus it does multi-level teaching, just like I want to do. So it has all of those pieces, plus it had some extra features like the easier planning from what I hear, and the better usability from what I hear. So I decided to give it a try. And so far I've looked at it and I'm really impressed, and I'm really excited about trying it out. So I'll be giving you guys a longer review and a full review of this once I'm really into it and I can give you more experience from the trenches. But this has several pieces. I'll just show them to you briefly. This is the family guide we're doing year 2, which is medieval history. And it has the family guide has all of the tables with all the plans where you highlight the pieces, the reading that you want to do, the spine books and the literature books, and any activities you want to do. It has video suggestions, audiobook suggestions, all sorts of stuff. So this is the piece, my hair, this is the piece that makes it easy to plan. This is the other piece that's really interesting to me is they have spine books, history spine books that actually were designed for the curriculum. This particular one is the history for junior readers. It's called Remember the Days. So it has the spine text that I would read aloud to my kids during that lunchtime hour. I would read this to them. We would discuss it. And then for older kids, they also have this companion that's the same material but expanded and more in depth. And there's 2 volumes. So my oldest is going into 7th grade. That is on the young end for using this text. This text is really upper, middle, and high school. But theoretically, and we'll probably highlight some things. I was poking around through here, and I'll probably flag some pieces in here for him to read independently on his own, so that we can discuss them later. But the idea is that your older kids would use that. You could do it as a read aloud for everybody, but my plan is to do the Remember the Days as a read aloud during the lunch hour, and then my older kids would either read the whole related chapter for the companion, which expands on it and goes deeper, or since my oldest is in 7th, I'll probably just flag a few pieces and do it that way. It comes with a discussion guide, which is really fantastic. That's one piece I really loved. Last year was the in-depth discussions that we could have as a family. So I'm excited about that. They also have this cool history. These are like answering questions and doing evaluations of what they learned. I am unlikely to use them that way. I don't really tend to evaluate my kids' work that way. We do notebooking and oral narration to evaluate their work, and we'll probably just continue that. But I did notice flipping through these that these have, since they're leveled, this one is upper middles, this one is middles. They have one for the younger grades too, and for high school. They have more questions in them, and many of them are open-ended that I can have further discussions with my older kids one-on-one just to go deeper into the material. So that's what I'm going to do with that. They have a coloring book. You guys, coloring books are like my homeschool mom love language. I like to have coloring books because I like to print them out. These all come in digital format too. So I got the digital format of this so I can print out 6 copies of whatever the current thing we're learning, and my kids can color while we're reading. And that's something that's really helpful for them. And they also come with maps. So this is the middles maps. I'm excited about these because, and again, I got the digital format of this because they have the instructions right on there for how to, what they need to do with their map work. The Biblioplan timeline, I'm gonna try it. We have a bad history with history timelines. We just don't tend to use them. We start out with good intentions and we flop. This one, my oldest is gonna give it a shot. It's interesting because it already has everything in color in the back, and he can just cut those out and glue them in the appropriate places. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a try. And then they have a craft book. So I am not a crafty mom, but I am my kids really enjoy hands-on crafts. So I like when they just give me some crafts. And from what I'm looking through, they have easy ones and they have more complex ones. And so I can pick and choose what's gonna work for us. So that is what we'll do during lunch hour. We'll do our spine reading. And when we're done with our spine reading, then later in the week during that hour, we'll do literature read aloud relating to our history. My older kids will have their literature independent reading assignments that they'll do with that, and then we'll have our discussions, and then we'll have, a little craft or activity and our coloring pages, and I'm really excited about how it's all laid out very well and easy and open and go for this non-planning mama. So we do have more, in addition to our morning time during breakfast, in our group time, we do have other times where we have read aloud sessions and time for group activities. It might be, time in the afternoon where we're doing more read alouds together, or it might be when Daddy's home and we have a special read aloud, which I'll mention in a minute, or we might just have group activities that we're doing together. So for those, the resources that we picked, usually we use Character Concepts, which I love. I love their materials and my kids adore them. We happen to also have this set. This is called Children's Character Building Collection Study Guide by Dennis Gunderson. This is from the Grace and Truth's bookstore. And it comes with these readers. So we are doing these as read alouds, and it corresponds with these character lessons, and they're pretty short. So I don't really have an opinion about them yet because I haven't ever used them, but I was like, this is the year that we're going to pull this out and do this. It has a schedule in here where you read a chapter, you discuss it with your kids, you draw out biblical truths. So that's what we're going to do. That's what we'll do on Home Blessing Day. So like I said, we have our 4-day academic week. This is the thing that we'll make time for every Saturday because that's our Home Blessing Day. The other thing that we like to do is we really like to read missionary biographies in our homeschool. So we are already currently reading Eric Liddell. So I went ahead. So I don't know if you know this, but you can get the Christian Heroes Then and Now. This is more of a read aloud resource. Your older kids could probably read it. My fifth, but my 7th grader could read it. But we just use these as read alouds, and my kids remember a ton from them. They do have online downloadable unit studies that you can get for many of these. I've never used them, but I went ahead and downloaded the one for Eric Liddell. They're pretty cheap. I was just curious. So we're about halfway through this one, and then I will see what that's like. They also have corresponding, let's see if I can get it. They have corresponding Heroes for Younger Readers books. So these ones I went ahead and got for the books we'll be studying this year, but they're much simpler readers. And they also sell activity guides. I don't think you can get these as digital downloads, they're just as books. So activity guides that go with a set of 4. So all that to say, I got the Eric Liddell Young Readers. We're also going to be going through Hudson Taylor. I couldn't find the regular book for him, but I know it's around here somewhere. We're going to be learning about Hudson Taylor, David Livingstone, Betty Green, and this guy's name, which I'm going to butcher, Adoniram Judson. I don't know, but it looks really interesting. So anyway, we're really excited about going through those. My kids really enjoy those. And we also I have a very simple free notebooking page that's just for missionary biographies. I'll leave you guys a link for that in case you want to use it. It does the job, and it focuses on the character aspects of the biographies, which the YWAM books are set up nicely to cover. Okay, I mentioned that my husband is going to be doing a read aloud for Our Homeschool, and that one is the Fallacy Detective. Now, the Fallacy Detective is a logic book, and it's geared for a little bit older kids. My oldest could probably be doing it, but we're going to do it as a family read aloud. It's actually, fun fact, it's one of the very first books that we bought at the very first homeschool conference we went to, and my husband's the one who bought it, and he's like, we need to teach our kids logic. Now, granted, my oldest was 2 at the time, so that book has been sitting on our shelves for a long time. So this is the year we're going to break it out. So when my husband is home on Mondays, he's home on Sunday and Monday. So when he's home on Mondays, that's going to be something that we read aloud. We normally don't do, we sometimes do audiobooks when he's home, but we try to just focus on chatting and whatever. So instead of doing the audiobook during dinner time or lunchtime, when he's home, we'll have him do the Fallacy Detective read aloud with us. And then the last extra resource that we have for group time, this one is also super exciting to me. This is called Places Please. This is a theater subscription box for homeschool families. So this is a subscription, I believe it's every other month. I haven't even opened it yet. But so I haven't opened it yet because I want the kids to open it with me. But the theater subscription box, the first one comes with some extra stuff, but each one that you get comes with a script and some props and ideas for putting together a family play and doing family theater in your home. And they have opportunities where you can, take videos and submit them and all sorts of stuff. My husband really, every once in a while, he mentions wanting to get our kids into theater, and I really never knew how to do that with younger kids. There's opportunities locally for older kids to do theater, to get involved with a theater group, and go off and do their thing. But our kids aren't that old yet, and we kind of want to do something together. So this is something I'm really excited about. Okay, so that is all the stuff that we do for our morning time and our group time and all of our read aloud activities. So in the next video, I'm going to show you guys what each of my kids are going to do for their individual work for each grade level.